Wait, what?
Live. Welcome in, everybody.
Christopher.
Yes, sir.
You
Hey.
bamboozled me.
Wadamoo?
You Shanghai bamboozled me.
How man do? You have the blue name on Twitch, so it's hard to see that.
You bamboozled me, Christopher.
Bamboozled you?
You
I don't think so.
hornswoggled me.
I don't think so.
I was not prepared. I was not prepared, Chris.
Houdini, Sigavax, Shade, Brent, Paint Liquor. How are we doing, you guys?
I was not prepared.
All right, now I have my pop-up chat for both so that you all get equal amounts of love.
Is YouTube working? When was YouTube not working?
What's that?
That was like 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Did we ever get notice as to why?
No. No.
We're plebeians.
YouTube,
they don't have to tell
YouTube
us.
Doesn't talk to us.
They don't tell us.
Zewskins, Duncan, what's going on?
Hello.
How are we all doing? Papa Chicken, what do you do with a dead chemist? You barium.
You
Barium.
You what?
Barium?
Barium.
Barium. Barium, not barium. I thought you were. I didn't realize that was a periodic element. Periodic element? Periodic table? Element on the periodic table? That's what I meant to say.
Huzzah. It's one of those things.
Duncan, video game archaeologist. What's going on, everybody?
Hello.
It's Friday.
Welcome to Friday. Man, Chris will laugh at me because I thought yesterday was Friday.
Nope.
This
Today
whole
is
4-day work
Friday.
week for everybody but us is not healthy. Because I talk during the day to so many people, and I'm like, you better get that done today because it's Friday. You know, not because it's actually Friday,
Right.
but because for a lot of our employees, it's Friday. It's the last day you'll be able to get anything from them.
Right.
And so I talk that way, and then it gets my mind in that spot. So yesterday, I sent Chris a video meet
Right.
because we're supposed to have a meeting today. And he jumped on the video meet and didn't have any idea why he was there.
Why are we doing this?
And I noticed it immediately as you tuned in. You were like, why are we here?
I don't have a hat on. I don't have my mic set up.
You didn't have anything
video.
ready. And I'm like, that's unlike Chris. And then we got there and I go, oops, sorry. Forget about that. See you tomorrow. Actually, it was, I'll finish my
Peace
lunch
out,
and I'll see you in a few minutes. Oh, that's what you get for dealing with me.
TK421, I think it's Friday for everyone. That is correct. It is. What's popping, you sexy bunch of paint people? Clubman, what's going on? Cat, what's going on? Scorched Earth.
How's it crack-a-lackin'? Remember that one?
That one, Bobby.
Remember that one?
I do.
How's it crack-a-lackin', Chris?
50 stream streak, that one, Bobby? It's a lot of streams.
Impossible.
Sarker says, I'm here to hear the good word of the Fisters.
Fisters!
Stream streaking. That's correct. I guess people do be stream streaking. Ghost Hunter, what's going on? Starting off the question. Okay, Squid. That's good. Squiddy G? Squiddy G? LOL? I like that. Starting off with a question. When painting, how do I know how often to rinse my brush out versus just adding more paint? For instance, I'm doing a base coat and I basically am almost always wiping my brush off 3 to 4 times in a paper towel when I base coat or layer. It's dry enough on the fingernail, I only see small streak after I wipe it.
I am of the mindset that you go and rinse your brush after every paint load. So like right now I'm painting with bismuth yellow right now. I will do whatever I can do with the amount of paint I have on the brush at this time.
Yeah.
And then I will rinse it and start over. Now, that is a very dumbed down answer, I guess, because there are times where you don't want to add more water if you are already dealing with very thin paint. So let's say you've already made yourself a glaze out of a color, you have a very thin color on your palette. Sometimes that color is watery enough that you don't need more water on your brush, because when you go load more paint, the paint is already enough wetness to keep your brush flowing right. But it's a great question, because what happens is that as your brush dries out, paint doesn't flow off of it correctly. It can be streaky on the model, and you waste a lot of paint. So that's why I subscribe to the school of I always just go rinse. Like right now, I just went and rinsed and just quickly cleaned the brush. It might still have a little bit of pigment on it, but not enough to matter. And then I'll go back and refill my brush, take some of the paint off, and then go back to doing the job.
What's going on, Mo? Houdini says, wait, you can rinse the brushes? I just got a new one. No wonder I have to buy 100 a month. You could be in that pool.
The best, worst customer. Do you realize how much money he spends with us?
Duncan Kemp says, with rinsing, do you stroke on the bottom of the cup or swish in the water alone?
Up against the side of the cup, never the bottom.
That's where all the sludge is. Baron Deck says, is it rude to ask when you'll be showing off the new paints?
No, not at all.
First time chat. Hey, welcome in, Baron.
We've been using them a lot on stream. You'll see more of them very soon. We're waiting for to do like a big presentation on stream with them until we get them out of production next week. They should be filling over at Clarendon, which is our production facility here in Phoenix. They should be filling over at Clarendon on Monday. So assuming all of that goes off as planned, then we should have labeled bottles and all that ready so that we can show you all of that. We have the colors here. I'm just not going to be painting anything where I can do a large amount of focus on them until I get retail bottles done.
Video game archaeologist, they've been Coca-Cola testing them on us.
Yep.
What's that mean? Like, did Coca-Cola do some kind of weird testing? I don't get the reference.
Well, we haven't really been doing Coca-Cola testing.
We've just been using them.
We've just been using them. It's not like there's been a blind taste test or anything for you.
No, you've been pretty open when you're using them.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, video game archaeologist. Mo says the Coke versus Pepsi taste test.
Don't eat the paint.
We don't condone any of that.
Do not eat the paint. Stop it. Quit it.
No, we don't taste the brushes. We don't
lick brushes. We don't eat the paint. Quit it.
How do they taste to the original? We don't do that. Looking forward to the weathering and chipping today.
We put the same donkey butt flavoring
Yikes.
in OneStep that we do in all of our paints. So take that as you may.
Scorcher says, looking forward to the weathering and chipping today. You think you're going to get there, Jason, on this
boy,
guy?
I don't know.
Do you have...
As I'm doing this highlighting, I'm like, I don't know, man.
We're in highlight heaven. Not highlight hell. Highlight heaven. There you go. Chris, I think you said the transparent white was a game changer for you. What is the use case? I use it for the glow. Like a glowing effect for OSL. That's how I use it. And then I spray the color that I want to be the glow over it. Do kind of like a pinpointed area and then let that kind of flow and do its thing. No worries. No sorry either. I'm so sorry to follow up on this, but it is related. When I rinse my brush, I'm really knocking out so much of the water on a paper towel before loading it more.
Yep.
I feel like that's wrong because it flows worse without the extra water, but it feels too watery if I don't knock off 90% of the water. Am I crazy?
So it depends on what you're trying to do. I have a paper towel next to my water cup here. I'll just pull the water cup over here. Right. This is my swamp water I'm currently painting with.
No, that's Project Neutral.
This is Project Neutral.
That's Project Neutral.
It's starting, because it's been so hot here, it's evaporated like an inch in 2 days.
It's starting to get there.
So for the person that asks how I rinse my brush, I do this, right? I never dip the brush deeper than the bristles into water. You don't want to dip the brush into the ferro level. So if this was the water level, I only dip it to here. I don't ever do this. So going to the bottom of the cup does this. Don't do that. You don't want water getting in the back side of the ferrule on a brush. So just kind of rinsing it quickly like this against the side. I use the side to beat the devil out of it. Right, and then depending on what I'm doing, I'm edge highlighting on this guy right now, so I need opaque paint, or as opaque as possible. So however much water it has, I just wipe most of that off. 1, 2, 3 swipes on the napkin is what I'm doing, and then over into paint. And then I take a bunch of that off of here, because you'll always have way more paint on the brush than you need, right, if you're like me. And then we get really good paint retention and flow. I can come over here and do my highlight.
He said the Bob Ross thing? What's that?
Beat the devil out of it.
Oh, beat the devil out of it. Sorcerer says, either way, I'm just happy the stream is going and I'm here. I look forward to 2 p.m. every weekday. I'm glad. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wirehead says, speaking of warm, it's 10C. We're here today, which is wild.
It's quite warm here. I'm wearing my zip-up hoodie in protest today. But I think Chris has turned the AC on here, haven't you?
I do that because it gets hot up there.
Yeah.
Up on the ceiling, it's even hotter, especially as the lights go. So it just gets the air flowing. At a certain point, it has to turn on just to get the airflow. But I turn it on for a little bit. It gets a little toasty.
It's been hot enough for it. This side of the building, especially by this time of the afternoon.
You just get pelted with the sun. Angry Glizzy Mini Painter says, any idea when weathering pigments will be back in stock?
Probably we'll have some at Adepticon, I hope, and then probably soon after Adepticon ends. We just were not prepared, unfortunately, for that amount of interest in them. We aggressively underestimated is the way I'm putting that, the community's response to that. So it was awesome to see. We were not prepared. It's the first product where we make our own bottles for it. And that's what the holdup is. We can't get bottles because we are injection molding those bottles on our own. It's our partner that's doing it, but they aren't off the shelf bottles. So it's very difficult for us right now.
TK says, I missed a few streams. What color did you layer below the yellow? Well done on the color.
Did we do this guy Burnt Sienna?
I think it was Burnt Sienna.
Burnt Sienna. Into Nova Orange, right? I think. Yeah, Nova Orange.
I think so.
Nova Orange, and then a little bit of white to bolster the highlights, and then warm yellow.
Houdini said, so you'll buy our empty bottles back?
No.
I don't know about that. That's a lot of work to wash them out and do all that.
The cool thing with the way these new bottles are made is that there's a lot of conservation in the manufacturer, like 90, 89%, something like that, of all of the plastics that don't make it to completed bottles gets reused in the next run.
Oh,
so
that's
great.
cool.
Even bottles that, if there's mess ups in the molding process, they get chewed up and put back in as raw material for the next batch. So that's really cool.
No, we can't put them in empty beer bottles, Ace. It's not how that works. Not a bad idea. We just can't do that for you. Scorched Earth. No, indeed. No happy accidents Just no mistakes, just happy accidents. Great frame for painting. Oh yeah, absolutely. Jeff said that. Oh yeah, I see. Maybe the highlight needs a friend right there. Happy little accidents. Nice. Shark says, Monument Hobbies, pick a number between 1 and 4. Help me decide which of the 4 minis in front of me to paint. Number 3.
I was going to say 4, but I'll go with 3. I'll let Chris be right.
What is it, Shark? Sugar Rush says you can, you just don't want to. No, I would say we can't put them in beer bottles. We will not be doing that. Mudeeb says, Jason, I just want you all to know how good you are at teaching / showing stuff on this stream. As an okay painter who wants to be better, I have learned more here than any other reading or videos out there.
Thank you. That is awesome.
I really
Hopefully
appreciate
we can
it.
continue to inspire you, just get you to try new things. That's my whole goal.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun, enjoy painting. Don't feel like it's such a huge hurdle to pass over. Keep asking great questions.
Yeah. Clubman says, how about I send you a full bottle of whiskey, you clean them out and fill them with paint for me? We could do that. Send them over. Guy says, where will the happy little trees live on this marine? Be bold, Jason. Oh. That's kind of a tree.
Right there.
The laurel. We'll give the laurel its
right there. That's all the tree you get.
Mudeeb, you can do that for $1.2 million. Yes, we could.
I've told you.
We'll do.
$1.2 million. I'll do whatever chat wants me to do.
If you send us
within reason
empty whiskey bottles and a $1.2 million cash, I will see to it personally that we figure out how to get weathering pigments in those bottles.
Oh, 100%. Lifetime supply.
There you go.
Transferable upon death.
Mo says we could send the bottles back in for simple wizard butt refills. No cleaning required. Oh, you could. Just oh, you mean your actual paint bottles. It's a lot of packages we are going to be receiving. Mo.
Yeah, we don't do that.
What's going on, El? Ogre says, if I wanted to make a paint scheme where the person is changing from skin to stone, would I undercoat the stone area and glaze the skin colors on top?
Skin to stone. Undercoat the stone and glaze the skin. If you wanted to make a paint scheme where the person is changing from skin to stone, would you undercoat the stone area and glaze the skin colors? I would do it the other way around if I'm reading this correctly. I would start with the skin tone and glaze the stone over it. Is that what you're asking? I think I'm reading it separate. You'd start with stone and glaze skin. I would start with skin and glaze stone. If they're turning from skin to stone, I would want the stone to be kind of at the top level, if that makes sense.
Plump Crunchy says, great to see you all. Got the brush printer working. Nice.
Yeah,
yep, we did.
finally.
Will there be an announcement for the brushes since they look to have a new design?
They're the same design that you're watching me paint with right now. This is the first of the assembled brush batch that we did a long time ago now. Been a long time. Not quite a year, but it's been a while. And we did these. It's just that the printer has been an absolute pain in the butt to get set up with the jigs and everything to print the handles properly. So what you saw yesterday was this exact. It was a number 4, and this is a number 3. But I think there were the number 4 handles on there being printed. They didn't have ferrules crimped yet. We do that after. So we have to take the raw wooden dowels and size them. Then we have to dip them multiple times to do all of the process from primer dip, color dip, varnish dip, Then once that all dries, that's all done with lacquers. And then once that's all done, then we print over the top of it with that UV printer that you saw. And then we crimp the brush head to it. So the biggest problem with us being able to do these brushes for sale has been the printer. And now we feel like that's pretty well taken care of. Not going to say it's 100%. We still got to run some and see how it works, but feels pretty good.
Ogre says, yes, that is as if you were turning to stone. Okay, going back to the stone question.
Yeah, if you're turning to stone, I paint the flesh and then the stone after. And glaze whatever stone color you're using, grays or brownish grays or whatever. Glaze that over the skin for the area that is, turning.
Ghost Hunter, not everybody works from home. The whole factory crew still does not work from home, so nobody has the brush maker in their house.
Oh, is that why that question was asked the other day?
Yeah.
I saw that. Whose house is the brush maker? I thought it was because they wanted to go rob it.
Avian says, can we get limited edition oopsie brushes at Adepticon so long as they work? Oopsie brushes.
We don't usually do that because we don't trust that people don't go review them as having problems. I know that's not fair to you guys and gals that wouldn't do that, but how do we know?
Yeah, it's tough.
We've had people in the past, a very influential YouTuber that came by and was told specifically that the brushes they were getting were factory seconds because we were sold out of sables. And we used to do that when it was Slow Fuse Gaming. We used to offer the factory second brushes that didn't pass our QA. We would offer them at shows. Yeah. And that lovely individual went and gave us a harsh review on the brushes.
Ooh. And
never mentioned that they were, not first run quality. So we don't do that anymore.
Ghost Hunter, does Shelby still throw the right-handed brushes away? Shelby's no longer here, Ghost Hunter.
Yeah, Shelby don't work here. She will be at Adepticon, though.
She will. She'll be joining us at Adepticon.
You stop by. Shelby will be working the booth. Still love us some Shelby.
Yes, she was fired by throwing away all of the right-handed brushes.
Correct.
Ghost Hunter.
Correct.
That's the narrative.
Correct. Sticking to that story.
Avian, yes, Jen will also be at Adepticon.
Jen will be there. She'll be a big year. Lots of fun stuff happening. Chris and I were just talking about all that. Lots of info coming this week. And next, well, I guess not this week. Next. You'll notice on this side, I'm highlighting more towards the downward angle than the upward because this is the shadow side where I have more of what we would call like a bounce light from the ground. A lot of times I will add more of the highlight coming up from the ground as if, it's reflecting off of the concrete or whatever is the only real shine we'll get. The shine for the top will be minimal because we're in the shadowed side of the model. So we can still pull off a little bit of edge shine to give it the idea of a hard surface, like, that non-metallic shine. But over here, you'll notice all of my highlights are from the bottom up. And over here, all my highlights are from the top down with just a little bit of bottom up along the ground level. So you get more bright and sunny and more dark and brooding.
Daniel Paints, what's the new trailer about? I'm trying to climb out of underneath some rocks. That is the announcement name for our call to contrast/speed paints. Or OneStep paints. That's what that's all about. which will be pre-released at Adepticon and coming out May afterwards, worldwide. Jason's been using them since December on stream, so you can kind of see them in action.
None on this guy, but we've been using him a ton. My entire Legion army that I'll be playing on stream with Dallas from AMG at Adepticon is done with them. The Euroni army that we've been painting for Conquest from Parabellum is completely done with them. Can't wait to see me paint the Rex. It's a neat model. It's sitting over in my office on the floor now. My old office. I have a new office. I'm over here now, keeping Chris honest.
Keeping me honest.
Yeah.
The medium will be called a special sauce, says Brent. Yes.
Yep.
OneStep medium. I misread Jabari Army and laughed, imagining at IG Regiment of Not but Dwayne Johnson's. Hey, you know what? Speaking of Adepticon, if you guys see that link that comes up, that is all of the information for the Minis as Art celebration that's going on. I did that this week, so you'll start to see those links. Also, the year of the giveaway links, so those will start popping up. That includes all of the information about what's coming at Adepticon this year. It's going to be pretty crazy. We're going to have a big one.
I'm excited. You excited for it?
Me?
Are you anxious?
I'm anxious. I think once it's done, I think I'll be.
I share some of that, but I've done it enough to know that I'm gonna have a ton of fun.
No, I'm anxious. I think it will be.
It makes me anxious too, especially when we have such a big product release. You know, normally, I mean, for years we haven't really had anything that wasn't just more colors. And for the first time in a long time, we have something that is intrinsically like brand new with the OneStep paints.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to see how that goes. What the reception is. We'll have a lot of models on.
Plus,
on board,
getting
so you
all
can
that.
sit there and come play with them, and
plus having everybody do it in the case too, right?
Yep.
All the models.
Well, for the show. Yep.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on. It's like 2 events within one event within a huge event.
that is
Plus,
it.
with
it's
many
inventception.
with many mini events inside of it. Will the booth be open on Wednesday night?
No.
What's Wednesday?
They don't do any early openings.
Isn't that only for GW?
Thursday.
Oh.
GW does their. I think they do their pre-release thing maybe on Wednesday.
Oh.
But the vendor hall is not allowed to be open on Wednesday.
How much money do I have to put under the table to reserve a case of OneStep, Chris? You just got to be in line, Avian. Lap, the official release is looking forward to getting them in France as soon as I can. Sorry if you've already been said. No, there'll be a very limited release in France or in the EU site during Adepticon, but once that supply is gone, it's gone, right? So the worldwide release will be mid to late May. And that's worldwide. We're going to be supplying the EU site, so everybody over across the pond will be able to get their hands on it.
But like Chris said, during Adepticon, there will be sets
very limited
on the EU website for purchase until they're gone. And we have never done this, so I do not guarantee that everybody that wants one gets one, because we'll see how that goes. Our ability to estimate what Europe is going to how Europe will respond to this is nil. We don't have numbers to give us an idea, but we're sending quite a few sets. and you'll have the ability to purchase them on the EU website during Adepticon, and then as soon as Adepticon's over, they leave the site.
No, and Wirehead, unfortunately, as someone who can't make Adepticon but being Canada will be able to get OneStep sets during. No, we will not be selling them online, but in May, keep an eye out.
Yep. No pre-sales on the web store. Only in person at Adepticon and the EU website, because the Adepticon thing isn't a deal over there. So we decided we would open it up over there. We do not like to pre-sell on the website until we give our retail partners, our friendly local gaming store partners, the ability to pre-sale theirs or pre-order theirs. And so that'll be happening soon. After Adepticon, the retailer pre-orders will occur. Kyle and his team on the sales side are letting everybody know all those details right now. And once we get all the pre-orders for stores, then we'll start announcing the live date on the website.
But yes, you will be able to get them in May, regardless if you're able to. So keep an eye out for when that drops, and we'll keep you guys posted throughout the next month and 2 months, technically. Yeah, go center if you want to. You could go to France, I guess.
If you have a friend that's going to Adepticon, have them pick you up a set.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. Get on the Discord. Ask people if they're going. You might find on our Discord that you can set up some ghost shoppers for you. Right? No shame in that.
Mo says, now that these new things are now new old things, what's the new thing that you're going to tease us with the next 5 months? Don't lie. I know this pattern.
Nope, you don't. More colors, man. What are you talking about? There'll be more OneStep colors. We got 40 plus to tease you with. We'll have the next 12 here pretty soon to tease you with. So you're not done. You're not out of the woods, but this is the year of OneStep. We have the new...
the new framables.
Could you grab the expert acrylics for me?
Oh.
Oh, you have yours over here, don't you?
Well, actually, no. Let me get yours because those are for you to use.
So we can tease you with these. We shot, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We shot the photo up if you saw them yesterday. But we finally have all of the retail packaging done on the Expert Acrylic Next 6. So you've already seen these in action. I've used them quite a few times. But these will be, right after Adepticon, these will go live in April. So between now and the full release of OneStep, you'll be able to get your hands on these, which is awesome.
That green is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that green.
Yeah, to give you an idea,
Chrome
like next to sap, you have sap green that's pretty dark. Now you've got the chrome oxide green that's pretty light. You got the phthalo turquoise, single pigment quinacridone magenta, the red oxide tint, which is really intended to be a flesh tone, right? But is just a great peachy mix for anything. Warm yellow, which is aerolite yellow, deep, which is it's our warm yellow, and then the alizarin crimson, which we do not have.
That's awesome.
We don't have these in the main Pro Acryl line.
Yeah.
So these are all new colors, and then these are warm yellow, dark magenta out of the John Nennis set, and then our dark turquoise. I think dark turquoise. Yeah, dark turquoise out of Louise's set.
Little Billy, typical Chris, giving me hope, leaving a little bit, then crushing my hopes. Hey, you know what, Little Billy? I'm here.
I'm here.
I don't know what you want from me.
For you.
Just for you, Little Billy.
Little Billy, you would know how to act if Chris wasn't this way.
Actually, that red oxide tint, I'm actually very intrigued to play with.
They're all great colors.
Yes, I am certainly doing a job, little Billy. A job.
Of all the Chris's doing a job
I'm
on
doing
this
one of
show,
them.
you're one of them.
Will
Chris
the
does a
one
great job.
will the OneSteps be easier to use than speed paints? Because I have a horrible time doing speed paint.
What do
Great
you have a horrible
question.
time with? And I can help you.
If I had to guess, Jason's
The
answer.
sloppiness of it?
Well, what's the coffee staining?
Yeah.
That's the term. Is that the right term I'm looking for?
Yeah. It gives like clumping of pigment and such, where ours are very smooth. If you go back and watch, and you'll see me do more here on upcoming models as we show you them live more and more. But I just slop them on, and they work great.
Yeah.
One of the big things I wanted to make sure of is that they went on as smooth as possible without you having to do anything, specific or learn any technique on how to get them to go on the model. So, we purposefully have kind of beat them up in order to make that happen.
Clubman, that's the silliest thing you just said, but I'm not gonna repeat it.
What's that?
This right here.
Oh, that is not a thing.
We have normal names here, by the way. We use normal naming conventions here at Monument Hobbies for Pro Acryl. Ogre says, yes, Chris, the staining is my problem. I figured, Ogre, you're not alone. A lot of people struggle with that with conventional contrast and speed paints.
Yep, I think you will enjoy ours immensely. Ours, you can apply like a wash, so you don't have to do a whole lot of thinking, heavy lifting, braining, as I would say, to get it right. You can just kind of put them on. I have just slopped them on. On stuff like this, we just slopped the crimson onto the flats. Zoom in close. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the best examples, and you can see how I only get like really, really small areas of darkness where the plastic pinches, and then like on this run, it's all very consistent.
Yeah.
Right? This is over a white and black pre-highlight, but there's not really any gumming up on the works, no big splotchiness on them. They're all pretty smooth.
Doghouse.
The model really dictates, if it has low spots on the model, that's where the pigment goes.
Doghouse says, thanks again for having this year of the giveaway. Literally just received my Christmas Sushi Special Edition signature set. Thank you again for what you guys do. I love those paints. I'm so glad you're going to enjoy them.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Play with the noosh. First time chat. Chamobia? Sorry, I'm bad with names. What's going on? Sitting here.
Nobody's good with internet names, Chris.
Sitting here, dry brushing some fantastic early Saxton minis from Victrix.
Nice.
Oh, we were just doing that, right?
Yep.
Not sure if you guys have seen much of it, but I think Pillage was a war game is going to grow a lot in the next 5 years. Much love for all.
Yeah, we just started it with some of the stuff where we were using our one-step paints on them and doing the Victrix medieval and Saxons.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So we were just doing some of those.
Is that a game that's coming out?
Yeah, there's already it's already out. Pillage and then there's Baron's War, and there's a bunch of really cool games for that scale of 20 to 25 millimeter medievals that you can get. I think Too Fat Lardies has a game that works pretty well at that scale for medieval. But yeah, there's a lot that you can do with them. It's kind of like, most historics, that's the way it works. You can get the models you like, use them in the game system that you like, and by the time you get really deep into it, you'll find out, and there's these other 3 games that people make where I can also play with my models. World War II with bolt action, and you can use them in bolt action or 50 million other freaking World War II games at that scale.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of value out of historics when you do that.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. We're out of go bags right now. Haley.
We hope to have some at Adepticon, and then it'll be later in April after the show when we get the next production batch in. Unfortunately.
Shadowcast says, I'm looking to do a Tau and a desert scheme. What colors do you think would work best? Ooh.
It depends on what you mean by desert scheme. Do you like just kind of neutral, tone browns like tans, or would you like something that's like, desert yellow? Because our yellow ochre is great that way. You could do like dark umber into yellow ochre is a great desert scheme. Khaki is a fantastic desert color. But you could also just stay like dark umber, light umber, kind of color scheme as well. And that can look really good. Up to you.
Clubman says, I'd suggest the fluorescent line. I love that line. I love all the paints. As the Dice Rolls first time chat, welcome in.
Wow.
Are the paints in the Rogue Hobbies collab set single pigment?
The bismuth yellow that I'm using right now is. The ultramarine blue is. The dark turquoise is. The dark magenta is not, but is super close. I mean, when you ask single pigment, I'm always hesitant on that question because a lot of people come into it thinking that not being single pigment is a bad thing, but our paints are made like true artist paints, and the bulk of true artist paints are not single pigment. So,
right.
What that means is that every color is built upon the base pure pigment of that hue. So if you buy a green from us, it starts with a green pigment, not blue and yellow. If you buy magenta, it starts with magenta. If you buy yellow, it starts with yellow, so on and so forth. So don't be afraid of them anyway. Her set is some of the most vibrant of them. I'm trying to think of what else. The orange red, right? The orange red is a blended hue as well. But yeah, so and the bright green is a blended hue. So 3 and 3.
Little Billy, I do not have least favorite paints, not by quality, but just because you don't like the color. 0 of them, Little Billy. You're never getting an anti-Little Billy set. All of our paints are great. Now, I will say I don't use as many paints typically often because of the things I paint. I definitely am more in the earth tone realm, typically.
Greens and browns with this man. He likes trees.
That's pretty much it. Currently, I should say. There are some cases where I'll use something, but dark turquoise is one of my favorites. Yes, I do like me some dark turquoise. Shady, Chris needs to paint a Fister army. I was looking into
Fisters.
Potentially getting some I think it'd be kind of fun to do a Space King army of Marines. I think that would be a lot of fun. There's some fun STLs out there.
Are there? Did you look?
Oh yeah, they're relatively. Obviously, I don't want to say these. The simplicity is what makes these so fun.
Yeah.
But I think it's easy to kind of replicate in a 3D space.
Right.
So there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, because you just need to really be able to do spheres and
bubble,
cylinders.
bubble, and really clean spheres, which is why they look so good. So definitely was looking up some of that. Nature sushi, that's right. Let's see. Ma says the Rogue set is neat because it seems like you can add 3 paints, white, black, and metallic medium, and mix any color with them. Yeah,
Yep, pretty much. It gives you a very good CMY buildup with the ultramarine, dark magenta, and the bismuth yellow. They're going to work really well for you if you like to paint that way. The better way is our expert acrylics.
She did a video on that too, long time ago now. Well, actually, it was only a year and a half ago.
Yeah, maybe like a year.
Ogre, that's it. He's doing the every time Jason says fisters, I hear it in the voice that used to be called out for Space Ghost.
That's why I said the other day I feel like I sound like Space Ghost.
Is this the stream of my dreams with the small finger creams? The Tasteful Thickness. That's a great name, by the way. Oh, that's funny. How would you step up the color grade if you started with a red oxide primer to paint fisters? Amazing job. That's from Ethan.
If you did what now?
How would you step up the color grade if you start with a red oxide primer to paint the fisters? Could you start with burnt sienna? Could you
red
just
oxide and burnt
those?
sienna are very similar values, so I think you just stay and you would do what I've done here, but you could use the red oxide as your base and then just do the Nova orange over the red oxide, then the white. You can follow everything I've done here and just skip the burnt sienna step.
What's his name? Butimus Maximus.
Butimus.
I said booty mass.
Butimus Maximus. From the Fisters.
When are you guys going to do something with Zambi's whimsical dark scheme?
What do you mean?
We're not doing any more signature series. We've said that in the past.
You mean like paint something that's grim, except with vibrant colors? Because I think she just paints like grim models in bright kind of festoon colors, but also in darker, if it makes sense to say darker vibrancy, is her whimsical.
Whimsy dark.
Whims dark.
That's Zambi's Whims dark. Oh, paint something, not new paints. Okay, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen Jason paint something like that.
Well, I mean, I think quite a bit of what I do can be considered that.
Whims dark?
Well, it depends.
I
like,
guess
what
so.
are you? Again, I don't like those kind of terms, and no offense to Zam, because I love Zam. But when you say something like that, is it that I have to use a certain colorway? Because I use, like on this guy, doing the blue steel and all the magentas and purples and greens and things like that gives me desaturated grimness to it, but without having to overly weather it. I still get to use, vibrant coloring, right? Like the salmon on the claws and the purples and things like that. But, it's not like, heavy jades and blues and purples. But I paint that way quite a bit because I like to have vibrant colors that I desaturate.
Maybe very, very whimsical.
But I don't know. Like, I've watched the way she paints, and she does some really cool stuff with that. I don't know. I would have to have her on here and ask, like, hey, when you did...
More vibrancy, says Sharkarino, like with the fluoro paints.
No.
She does use a lot of the fluoro paints.
Yeah.
Her workups.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be, like, I don't look to take models out of, like, the aesthetic that I view them in very often. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Like I don't do the I don't remember what they call it, the vibrant marines that they do where they do it. Although I did one year. I did one year that had like leopard skin pants on.
That was Louise. She did something with the color marine, the rainbow marines.
Yeah, I don't really do that very often. If that's what you mean, is like taking something that's intended to be, really dark and painting it. Although like we painted that big gruesome bear, pink.
So no, Jason does not do synthwave.
Synthwave, yeah, that kind of stuff I'm not into. It doesn't jazz me. I don't like the I mean, I grew up in the Miami Vice days and I hate that stuff. So that doesn't appeal to me. But I get the appeal of it. The vibrant colors and doing like synthwave marines and stuff like that. I like looking at the end product. I do not like painting it. Not that I can't, I just don't like painting it. For me, the escapism is a big part of it, even on fun stuff like this, where it's like, fisters, and there's not really anything other than just the satire of 40K going on. But as we're painting, it's to me, a lot of it is the thought process of like when I'm painting a dreadnought. I don't go to the full-on crazy grimdark, make it look like you dipped it in mud mentality. But I do come from the scale modeling world where most of my life was spent making tanks look like they were real. And so I try to blend that with enough vibrancy. My world lives in that world. I'm not grimdark, whatever that means. I'm in between comic book and reality. I feel like I'm firmly planted in between. I still like good color. I still like good punch. I still like a lot of good non-metallic metal and contrast on my models. But I do not like overly weathered, overly dark and grim in that vicinity much. So
this is what Tadpole's saying.
Mixing dark, creepy, or serious models with bright colors. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, they are. Architect 13.
That was not a joke. It is not April 1st.
Nope.
They're called OneStep. We've been using them a lot on stream.
Since December.
Not on this guy. Not on the fisters. The fisters are serious. All right. Next highlight.
Is he going to have a scroll on his leg that says Pound Town? He could. Ogre.
I thought about doing something on the knees, but again, it's like they fall into shadow, so I don't really think I need to. There's part of me that might go back and do like a diver down on the knee, like a red plate with a white stripe or something to match the head. I don't know. I could do something on there freehand if we come up with something, a skull or something. I feel like it's really bland down here. But again, that gets into that, when is it done? You could add, this guy is such a big canvas, you could keep playing and adding more stuff until you're blue in the face. Because he's just got, huge amounts of space. Huge tracts of land.
Lumberjack says, I was surprised that Malev only found out about the OneStep from the ad. Many did. We kept it pretty quiet.
Well, I mean, we've been talking about it on stream for 3 months.
The name.
Oh, yeah. No, nobody heard the name outside of this office. Not a single soul.
Now, Lumberjack, if you're talking about, I told them to come through the stream. Well, yes, that's different. We have been using the actual OneSteps for a while now. The name was just released yesterday.
Yeah, when we say that the stream and the Discord are the place to get early release info, we mean that. We don't give it out to monumentals, retailers, nothing.
Yeah.
It's legit. You guys get the beginning. Now, they have to come and partake if they want early release info. Ain't no freebies. But yeah, on the name, we kept the name very hush hush.
A says, can you still win competitions if you use contrast paints here and there?
Depends on how you use them. I would say the answer is yes. They're just, if you use them to the fullest of their abilities, then they become really good filters. You just have to be a PhD in paint handling to be able to make most contrast paints do that, because the formulation of the paint doesn't really want to work like a normal paint until you really get good at thinning and controlling your viscosity and such, which is one of the reasons why we decided to make OneStep paints the way that we do, because they help alleviate that. They just feel good as paints, which I'm hoping leads more people to try more new things, especially newer painters, because, we'd be lying if we said that wasn't a paint line geared towards making newer painters feel more confident in their work quicker. I think that everybody would agree that that was the intent that GW had when they came out with those.
Oh, the original
original contrast paints.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that, right? I'm a big fan of getting whatever tool into people's hands that makes them feel like, oh my gosh, that was time well spent. It's just, for me personally, it's been very difficult to get to a point where we would make a paint like that, because the general paint quality is not great. And that's not bagging on anybody. That's just, we make our paints differently. We look at paint a little bit differently overall. We want it to be an art tool for fine art, because I believe that's what our mini experience is a version of another way to have people really partake in the creativity of fine art. And your paint has to be of a certain quality and made in a particular manner for that to hold true for your product. And that's hard to do these days, because more and more places are making paint through automated computer machines mixing colors and not really paying attention to the quality of the mixed pigments and things of that nature. And those colors fell into that realm for me. But I'm very happy with OneStep. I've been really enjoying it. The colors turn out fantastic.
Big Pearl says, I've been watching on YouTube, so I had to hop over and ask if you're going to give this guy a gold tooth.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that. And he's got these big, huge panels, and I think a gold tooth would be great. My big question is, his bottom teeth are much larger. You can see the line up top. And I would really like to be one of his fronts.
Yeah.
Right? Like a gold front. Like just one, like his left front tooth. But it's kind of small. I wish it was the other way around. I wish this line was down lower.
Can
like
you...
the top teeth were like much bigger.
Yeah, I think that'll still look good.
It'll look cool, yeah. But I'm going to do all of this as non-metallic steel. All of the stuff you see that's Payne's gray, except for the lining in between the armor panels at the legs.
Okay.
Right, because all of this is like a hinge. So I'm going to do that non-metallic. The gloves I'll probably do in black as well. But I'm having fun with it. We'll see. I don't really have a plan. It may look like I don't really have a plan. Every time you touch the brush to the model, the plan changes, is the way I paint.
Ogre says, can you mix the OneSteps to make other colors?
Yep. 100%. They mix like a champ. That was one of the big things that I detested about other brand paints that I saw out there. Mixing them didn't work really well. They started to act really weird as you did. You couldn't mix them with other acrylic paints very well. Ours mixed with other acrylic paints great. So you can, if you do the base coat, you can then mix in white or whatever color you need to create highlight colors. I think you'll really love them.
Yes, Ogre, they're going to be great. And you guys are going to start seeing colors and all that, but you guys have already seen a majority of them on here, right? The world
I've used all of them.
Is going to start seeing the actual names.
Yeah, I've seen all the colors. I have some colors that are not making the initial launch that I've used. I've teased you with things that you won't be able to get first off. So this pale yellow is really just to kind of get the brightest spots of where I put the bismuth. To just bring a little bit more of a chunky shine onto areas, even in spots like that on the kneecap that wouldn't necessarily have a lot of light. It's fun to punch a little bit in there.
There is a yellow Crabosaurus.
Yep. Yellow,
It's an
orange, crimson is the red, but it's a dark. The yellow is very vibrant. The orange is very vibrant. The red is very dark in this initial launch.
It's going to be great. You're going to love he's used the yellow for gold, like a quick non-metallic gold workup.
Yeah, we have a dark green, a graphite green.
Oh, they're all amazing.
Graphite gray.
Warm brown.
Black, warm brown. Yeah. Great colors. Great starter colors.
There will be more.
And there's more coming. We want to let the community get a sense of how the paints work, make sure that we've got it all dialed in the way the community is going to find it. It's kind of like releasing a video game and waiting for people to break it. We want to be smart with this
Yeah.
because, you know, there's a lot of people out there who have bad taste in their mouth because of previous launches of these kinds of paints.
Right.
And so rather than just douse you with a million colors, we're like, here, try these, have fun with it, let us know what you think. We'll respond in kind, and then we'll give you more colors as we go.
They airbrush great, Crabosaurus. He used that on
Oh,
his big spider.
Yeah, they're so good,
Danger.
dude.
I have not used them personally as much. There's been several people in the office that have. I have not actually sat down and used them myself. But obviously I see here every day with Jason. Now, I have seen them over some of the Zenithals that I've been doing, which is pretty cool, like those ones that I do for Jason, but I'm very excited based off of how Jason and how Jordan and the other people have used them. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to. They'll become a part of my daily arsenal probably, especially if I'm getting stuff done quick. Commando Ken says, this was probably answered, but are the OneSteps all new colors, or are we going to see familiar names among them from the Pro Acryl line?
Well, let's bust them out and I'll show you.
I think
they are similar. The dark blue black, right?
Dark blue black
is basically our black in the set, our current black in the set. It looks like this when it's over white.
Yeah.
So you can see that it is it's a black. It's
it's
the way that I've done all the black armor on my Uroni. So this with no washes over it or anything, that's just the black. But it has a blue tinge to it, which is like that gunmetal style, like that deep oiled gunmetal style, so that it's great for weapons, armor, cloth, anything. I really wanted to start with a bluish black for that reason. But if you mix it or blend up to blue black in our line, they work fantastic together. But like our dark jade, jade, and bright jade, which are not all this, they're not the same color. Like dark jade and jade are not the same exact hue. They work very well together, so we call them dark jade and jade because that's the way you would shade jade. So same way here. So dark blue black will work well with the blue black in the line. The graphite gray has no... which one is graphite gray? This one's a graphite gray. So the graphite gray has no correlation to the main line, but works great with all the grays. The dark green brown, on the other hand, should be called like darker green brown. But of course, that depends on what brightness you put it over. That's this color on the ropes.
Oh,
right. So, and on all this leather here. And if you look at our dark green brown color, you'll see that they are damn near the same when dry.
Yeah.
But like I said, these colors are hard to say that about because depending on how bright your undercoat is, they will change. But my goal with calling it dark green brown is that you'll know that you can use it and get along the lines of that color of green brown as a highlight for it or shade for it, depending on how you use it. So, crimson has no match in the line right now. Royal purple does. Shadow flesh does. Obviously, shadow flesh. Blue does. It's blue. Rust, which is a color that's exclusive to Adepticon for the time being. It will be in one of the later sets, but Rust does not. It's like a dark orange oxide. If you think of that. The yellow is our airlide yellow or our warm yellow, right? Warm brown is warm brown. Orange is like red orange in our line, but we just call it orange because I'm not doing another orange. Dark green does not have a corollary in the line. And then graphite green does not have a matching color in the line. So I would say you've got... is that right?
13 or something? Well, yeah, because of the rust one.
I'm trying to think about this. This is kind of the...
Oh, the...
So you're 6 and 7. 7 do match colors in the line pretty well, right? And 6 do not.
Same consistency though.
Hmm?
They're all the same consistency as like you'd be expecting with our typical paints though. So just in a different
Well,
version.
watch how you say that, because
right?
consistency, no. These are not, when you say consistent across colors, yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's what I
But
meant.
consistency as far as like viscosity and
No,
such,
no.
Liquid consistency, no. They're very different than the normal paints.
Like I meant with when you showed the dark green brown.
Yeah.
Because that's
Those are the hues that we start them from. If they're
Yeah.
named like another color in the line, that's where we start from. But the way you use these paints can make them look completely different.
Right.
The blue can look different if you spray it over yellow than over whatever else, because they're like our transparents, right?
Yeah. How do they differ from the transparents, Jason? Somebody was asking that earlier.
The only way it's easier to say how they're similar is that they have low transparency. That's the only way they're similar.
Yeah.
So the OneStep paints are, how would you put it? They're between a wash and a transparent paint, right? So a wash, when you put it on, is see-through to some extent. It's translucent, not completely see-through, but translucent, and it pulls pigment into recesses to shade them. But it leaves very little color behind, right? It does a slight coloration as it goes towards the low spot, so you get a gradient, but it doesn't leave a lot of color on the upper spots unless you put it over maybe white and really, really heavy, right? And even then, it doesn't stain too much. The transparents have tremendous tint strength, so they just stain the model where you put the paint. They do not run into the recesses unless you turn them into a wash by using a medium. They're like a paint. They just stay where you put it like a normal paint, but they have some transparency to them so you can see through them. The OneStep fall right in between. They give you the coverage of a transparent or like a normal paint. They're going to stain and have a high tint strength, we call that, on every surface you put them on, right? And only allow some of that color to show through, like the whites and blacks of a zenithal prime or whatever color you do as a chromatic undercoat. So they have that potential like a transparent, but then they also pull more pigment into the low spots to make them darker to give you that contrast buildup, right? So you've got like, you put purple over white, and you're going to get darker purple in the recesses and in between the panel lines, and brighter on the top where the white is. Same with the greens and all of that. This poor test model's been beat up to hell, right? But we've thrown just slopped color all over these guys, and it gives you a really good smooth coverage of paint, darker in the recesses, brighter on the top, but consistent coverage of color all the way over the surface. But you can also dilute it. You can wet blend it. You can thin it out with water. It doesn't require the special medium, but we do have a medium for it.
Special sauce.
So you will like.
Nameless Brian says, just caught yesterday's VOD. Glad to see Jason is a fellow color wheel connoisseur. Have you seen the Majority color wheel?
Well, I don't know that I'm a color wheel connoisseur.
And the list of pigment codes. Huh. Interesting.
I don't know that I don't want to wreck your idea there. I like being liked. But I don't use the color wheel, like hardly ever. The color wheel is there for other people in our company to kind of get ideas for colors as we go through and look at the line. And, I ask people to say, hey, what colors do you think we need? And the color wheel helps that. I don't ever use it. That's why they sat over in another building miles away from here. Not miles. That makes it seem like it's forever. But our other building is a couple miles away. And it was over in that office over there in a box that I grabbed the other day to bring on because we had talked about color wheels. But no. But I've been privy to quite a few color wheels through my life. I just have never found them to really help me with anything that my eyes don't already see. The HSV cylinder, like I said, is the biggest thing that will help people. And you can just grab a picture of that online. But hue, saturation, value are where the bulk of your painting needs lie. Not so much in color. I try to tell people to release your grip on color as if it were the most important thing and rely more on value. Value and volumes do all the work, and color gets all the credit, is the way we talk about that. People tend to look at a model and say, oh my God, that yellow really makes that model stand out. And it's like, okay, technically, actually, what makes a model stand out is the application of contrast to it through value and volume. The color I chose is irrelevant. The technique I've used to get brightness to darkness, like I'm doing right now with highlights, this could be any color. It could be blue, it could be pink, it could be whatever. If you had the same level of contrast to it, it would look exactly the same from a cool factor, unless you just ran into somebody that hated the color. If that makes sense. So I try to tell people not to get too wrapped up in color. So many people get paralyzed with, I don't know what color to paint my army.
Ooh, Ethan, this is a good question. How would you approach batch painting an army of the Fisters? Would you skip any steps for time's sake? Also, is Payne and who is Payne and why does he get his own gray?
Who is Payne and why does he get his own gray? It's one of our signature Gesundheit.
Thank you.
I forget if his name was William Payne or whoever. It's just the guy that put together that mix of colors. Because it's a blended hue, not a single pigment. The answer on if you were going to assembly line these guys, what would I do different to speed it up?
Would you do red oxide primer?
Well, I think the red oxide primer was a good question earlier. You could do that or, well, no, I guess that's really the big one. I would use like the red oxide primer. That would skip a step of having to do the burnt sienna.
Right.
On here.
And priming the model itself.
Yeah, because it primes a colored prime layer that can be your base coat too is always a smart way to speed things up for batch painting. No matter what the color is, right? Like we have our black brown is great. You know, somebody earlier was asking how they would do a desert scheme. Maybe you start with black brown primer instead of black, and that could help. You know, the dark camo green if you're doing like army men, you know. So a colored primer layer is a big help. What else? I don't know. I mean, the rest of it was really easy, right? Because all we did, you could cut out the step I did of the white, right? You could just go over the Nova orange with the yellow and then highlight it again with another yellow. That would speed things up. It wouldn't give you as much contrast on your starting point, but it would still be doable. You don't have to do multi-level highlighting like I'm doing with the bismuth yellow into the pale yellow. You know, you could skip this step and just use pale yellow or just bismuth yellow, depending on what you wanted as far as brightness on the yellow. So that would be a way to do it. But all in all, it's a fairly simple scheme. I didn't get in the weeds with, you know, too many colors for underpaint or anything like that. You know, I wouldn't do very many helmets red, right? He's Sergeant Budimus Maximus from the Fisters at your service. So if you're doing a sergeant or a lieutenant, you know, maybe do helmets for your characters that were different colors. That obviously speeds things up too, because having to take the time to do the different parts and different colors for different guys is a time sink. But that's pretty straightforward deal. There's not a lot of work to do on it. I hope that there is a world where we start to see tremendous amounts of Fisters out there. I hope we have started something. I want to see 40K and 30K. Well, I guess you can't really do it in 30K. I want to see all the 40K Fister armies.
Mo says red helmets are one of my favorite one of my sniper's favorite colors.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems great that you always put the plume on the important guy. Shouldn't you put, like, make all the non-important... I guess if you make it all different, you should just have the important guy look exactly the same as everybody else. That's the reality. Don't give him a bunch of medals. Don't make him wear a different hat. Like, why do I have a different hat? Why is my helmet a different color? Doesn't that make it easier for them to see me?
Put all the unimportant guys in red shirts and don't use their last names. There you go.
Oh, the red shirt joke never gets old.
Decoy officers. Yeah, they could do that. Probably not a bad idea. Architect.
I think the least of our worries is what color the helmet is when your armor is bright yellow.
That's true. You're showing up.
I feel like, you know, the Imperial Fists and the Fisters don't show up to battle. Like, all right, here's our stealth team.
Do you think red shirts also wear brown pants? Says Commando Ken. Maybe.
If not, when they leave, by the time they get back, they do. But that's a poop joke. That's a scare the poop out of them joke, Chris.
I don't understand.
Let me explain it.
Well, I know that part. I don't understand. I don't know where the red shirts is coming from.
Star Trek. What? Oh my God,
No,
Chad!
dude,
Forgive me,
no
Chad.
idea. Sorry,
Chad, forgive me. Before you start pelting
yeah.
Chris, I need to explain.
Had no idea.
We did not ask him pertinent
Honestly,
questions
no
on his
idea.
interview when we hired.
I will be honest. I haven't seen any Star Trek in my life. Not something I've touched. Yep.
None.
Not a single anything Star Trek besides parody stuff.
What?
Yeah, unfortunately, I know. Let it consume. Just another thing to put on the list of things I've done that are incorrect, chat.
Oh, here we go.
Nerd card revoked. No, I'm sorry, Mo. I've never seen anything Star Trek. Just wasn't my, you know.
Well, you're not a big sci-fi guy.
Not really. I barely get into Star Wars, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even. Star Wars is cool because I saw it as a kid, but not, you know.
I'm the same way. Nothing new in the Star Wars world has really grabbed me.
Like, there are some people like, no, man, it's Star Wars. But no.
And I'm not like that for Star Trek either. But I did grow up with Star Trek, so it was like in my house, you know, like Star Trek. I tell the story about, you know, how I invited a guy, random dude at the pool, up to my house to watch Star Trek when I was like 5 years old, and that wound up being my stepdad. He and my mom got married.
Clubman Spaceballs is better than. It's kind of where I grew up, Clubman, was Spaceballs. Yeah, I know. Let it commence. I haven't seen anything Star Trek.
It is surprising to me you've never even like had friends that were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to watch Star Trek," or that when the Next Generation, because that was your era.
I've had people. I do have friends. I just never attended. I have.
Oh,
never,
you just weren't interested.
I was literally like, "Hey, we're gonna go see the new Star Trek. I've been doing X, Y, Z."
Like, I have socks to sort.
Monument Jen says, Christopher, I've seen very little Star Trek, and it's all been against my will.
She makes it sound so bad.
It's all been against my will. That's
funny. Let me explain how easy Jen has it, and how well I take care of her with beating her up with my nerd nonsense. She will be gone. Okay, here now. This bums me out because I'm gonna go to war here, chat.
Oh, sorry.
She might
Jen.
go out and do something, and she'll come home, and I've decided to watch some TV. That's the only Star Trek she'll ever see, is if it's on while I'm watching TV when she's gone, and she'll come home, and it'll be on. I doubt there's ever been other times. Maybe once or twice where I've been like, "Can I watch a show?" I've been trying to watch some of the new Strange New Worlds. But Star Trek has kind of gone off the rails here lately.
Yeah, sorry, chat. I know there's a lot. Well,
no, there's a lot of people that don't like Star Trek. It's just, to me, being in that world of nerddom for so long in your life, regardless of what it was, and being like a Tolkien fanatic and all that, is that you wouldn't have had the opportunity. And you said it. You just chose not to partake. So
I always went fantasy rather than sci-fi.
That's fine. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that are obviously bigger into fantasy than into sci-fi, because none of the sci-fi really ever
40K
hit it
and
for them.
40K and Horse Heresy is the closest I get. I haven't even dived into that lore. I would like to at some point. I'll probably do the Horse Heresy. I've heard good things about that. So I think that's where
the books and such?
Yeah.
Some of them are good.
I'll probably dive into that.
I am rereading the Gaunt's Ghost series for the first time in its entirety since I read it the first time. So
Okay, Shorties, how you doing?
That's a big one for me. I have not gone back to do Gaunt's Ghost in forever.
No, Cravosaurus, I have not seen the Horus Heresy flowchart. I know it's a little daunting, but, you know, like I said, I don't really typically go for those kinds of reads.
Can you zoom in close? This is
Yeah.
a good opportunity for people to see how to do a radial highlight with a starburst. I'm rotating the model around, and I am overlapping my quarters and doing small, thin lines that make this into like a little hairball starburst kind of thing. I'm using a very thin paint, but can you go in super close? Is that?
Yeah, I can do that more. It's very bright.
Yeah, and see how
we can
all
see
the
it.
little bitty lines that make it like a starburst with like a lot of big hairy starburst kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is how you do radial highlights. You pull a lot of lines into the center. Don't paint circles, even though you want it to look like a circle. Do a lot of little lines that all culminate in the center, right? So I'm constantly having to rotate the model so that I can get these next lines to kind of come back in, and they all hit the center. And then rotate it around, do the next quarter of the circle, and they all keep landing right back in the middle in there. And you can see I did it over here too. And then at the end, when it's dry, I put a circle of paint in there as that final spot shine, which you can see that circle of paint because all my lines, like right there, you can kind of see that little oval of paint. That's where all my lines end. Remember, your paintbrush drops off all of its paint where you end. So it's dry now, so you can't see it anymore, but it would leave the paint right in the middle of that. And this is a really good way to get a visual blend, right, very quickly across a radius. And you can see the center there, and then I'll come back in and I'll do it very kind of more like stippling little points in there to get a center going on. And that is how you do Space Marine shoulder pad highlights, because when you pop that out, now you have a nice hot spot on the shoulder that once that wetness dries will give you a really nice shine, because you don't have an edge, right? Like these shoulders don't have an edge to do. Now Space Marines normally have the trim on the side where you would be able to go in and highlight that trim. This guy doesn't. So, you know, you have to do that radial highlight in there. And if you're good with an airbrush, you can get in there and do it with an airbrush, but you wouldn't want to do that over the top of my my logo that I've painted. And so here, being able to do it with the brush and just get in there and do those very tiny lines, all drawing back towards the center in a radial pattern around, will give you that highlight on a sphere. Same for the top of the head or anywhere else. All right. What time is it? 3:25. Look at me.
Nice.
Now he's shiny fister. But now it's time to ruin the shine. Ruin the shine, chat.
Yeah, Belly, go check out the couple days ago he did the decals freehand. I think it was mostly a couple days ago.
What's that?
You did the decals.
The last 2 days. I think yesterday we did quite a bit of them, right? We did the line on his helmet and the laurel yesterday. Or did we do the laurel the day before? Yeah, time flies.
The 25th. Go watch that VOD. Here it is. Do this one. That's the main portion of the freehand, which is right here. That's the link.
Who does number 2 work for?
Oh, let me refocus. Ooh. Where are we going to start?
What do you mean, where are we going to start?
Where are we going to start on this guy?
All over. You need
over?
this.
What is that?
That's a piece of foam.
Wait a second. Can you say that again?
This is a piece of foam.
What do you do with it?
You hit the model with it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Miraculous.
That's pretty cool. All right. Show's over. That's it. That's it. Just a sponge, chat. That's all it takes. Okay, so you're ripping it
It's
up.
a piece of foam. This is not a sponge.
No, that's a sponge.
It is. It will not sponge water. I guarantee you.
Jeez.
I guarantee you it will not sponge
I
water.
think it might soak up a little bit.
It won't.
So what are you doing to it?
So then I want to get a piece that's long enough that you can kind of do this. You can pinch two of the ends together to get that curve.
Yeah.
Right? And what you want to do is grab a pair of forceps or similar. You can do it with all sorts of things. We have these locking monument forceps. Who knows?
What?
Look at that.
What are those?
We've never released these. So these unfortunately never made it to completion, but I have a bunch. And then we want to pick at it and make it an irregular surface up here. So I'm just tearing away.
We need forceps.
Go buy them on Amazon. I can't make them cheap enough. That was the problem. I really love these, but I can't sell them to you. I feel bad about it. They cost too much. And you can go get them for like, I don't know, $4 on Amazon. That's what Amazon has done to small business, chat. I cannot sell you things like forceps. Don't be afraid to pick up big old chunks. You're just trying to make the surface irregular. Something like that. Now it's just a mess, right? And that is your brush. I think they make some sort of makeup applicators that are kind of like that foam on the end of a stick.
Like the porous kind?
That you could go buy.
Oh.
They have to be very porous, open cell like this, so you can get the crevices and all the
makeup stick.
But I don't remember what they're called. But I think they make something like that. It's just like a foam on a stick.
Foam on a stick.
You can go and buy. They're bigger. The things that they use for staining wood are this kind of foam on a stick.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It's the same thing.
But they're big. They don't make them small enough. If they made them super small, like a 1/4 of an inch thick, would be great because then you could just pick the top of that off and it would work just the same. And then I want to get something like black brown. You could use black, but I tend to want to use black brown because it's dark and it's not black, meaning that I can use black to shade it if I want, but I can highlight it too, and it will still give us a really good chipping effect. So I like black brown. It's my go-to color for this. You could use dark neutral gray if you wanted to, but I like black brown just because it also gives the basis for if you want that hole to be rusty, it already gives you a brown in there for a rust. So it just is a really great background color. So the way I do pupils too is with black brown most of the time. All right, so we put out some there. We get a paper towel as if we were going to dry brush. I just fold over one of our paper towels. I take the foam. I dip it in the paint. So I now have paint covered foam. And then I wipe it all off over here. Right?
How much are you taking off there?
To where I basically am barely getting little stamp prints like that out of it as I go. Right?
Uh-huh.
And then we want to come over to the model and boop, boop, rotate it around. Boop, 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 boop.
How lightly are you doing this?
Oh, man, I'm barely touching the thing.
I was just about to say, like, that's scary business.
I'm barely touching the thing. If I were to do it to where it was, heavy-duty presses on this, I would get big blotches of color. So do you want your chips to be more crazy? Like that was a little heavier and I get a little bit bigger chunk.
Can you come down a little? I'm going to zoom in on this one. Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I want little chips. So I'm barely going in and just kind of, smacking it against the model. I want to rotate the sponge. Otherwise you will get repetitive patterns because even though you've made this crazy shape out of the sponge, it will have the same kind of dimension to it. So rotate it around when you see bigger chunks hit.
Is there a reason why you're doing this before you do the non-metallic metal on the steel?
Because the non-metallic metal won't have chips.
Right.
So I don't care about it. It don't matter none. It'll allow me to keep those details clean. If I did the non-metallic, I might get, this is like overspray. You can immediately see how you might get this on areas other than where you want it. Right? Because the sponge is not going to fit everywhere nicely. Right? Get a chunk on his foot there. I want them to be fairly beat up, or fairly well used, not too beat up. So that's why I'm doing very light, but you can see I'm being able to get quite a bit of work out of this one piece of foam. And this is just the foam out of our pluck foam in our go bag. So, like if I want to press hard here on this side, like that, I can get a big chunk.
Yeah.
Right? So I have a lot of paint in here. Again, just kind of rotate it around. Make sure you get some that hit the edges like that. You can imagine on his knee, where he scrapes his knee up a lot more. Maybe his butt plate gets a little bit heavier. But don't be afraid to put it over the top of your freehand. Nothing's sacred here. And just sprinkle light touches with heavy touches. Once you get a feel for what the sponge is doing, you can get a little bit more free with it because you'll know how much it takes to push before you get a really big chunk of black brown on here.
K Shorty says, "Sir, we're gonna need that gun barrel drilled."
It's drilled. That was one of the biggest things. It's already drilled. These guys don't mess around. They know what they're doing.
But Dave, take it easy. Have a good one.
Chunk right there. Pretty good, actually. Not doing his head yet because I haven't done the highlighting on the red. I wanted to get through the yellow first, but we can come back and do the red too later.
Nice. Would you change up the color at all? Like for different scratches, like deeper ones?
Nah. Usually not. Black, brown. That's all you need.
Are you gonna noosh this guy? Says Plump Crunchy.
No. He didn't have enough detail on him to really have
It'd be
Noosh
tough, huh?
do me a lot of good. I mean, I could.
That'd be really
I could,
tough.
and I could use it as like a spot filter on the Noosh and really go in and work it. But we're going to do all of what I need done for coloring just with this chipping, believe it or not. The way we're chipping right now is going to do everything I need for weathering. I won't have to worry about it. That's another reason why starting your yellows with like the oranges is so good, because you'll already have that dirty undertone and don't have to worry too much about anything else. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. I might want a couple of larger ones, so I'll put a little bit more on here. And maybe I want like to try to get a bigger, chunkier spot going on one of the shoulders or something. Yeah, like that. I think that's pretty good. I was almost going to rinse it out. If you have forceps and you can keep it in this shape, it's good to just at the end of it, rather than getting it wet, just go ahead and wipe most of the paint, the wet paint, off as best you can. Any paint that's left in it will help because it will stiffen the foam up and make it even better for next time. Because now all these rigid shapes will kind of dry. And so you can just leave it in here. So you'll find in the studio a lot of times the forceps will just have a clump of foam in them that we can use for this. Boom, you're done.
Nice.
Then bismuth yellow again. That's what we did the first highlight on all of the armor was. The cool thing here is that you notice it already takes the chunk out of the armor by putting it over the highlight edges. And then here we just come in and we'll go in and find the deeper ones will have highlight on them. So I usually start with the ones that are a little bit bigger. Like that little chip right there. See? Look at the immediate effect this has. When you just go through and just kind of dot around those spots where you have chipping, and all of a sudden you give an immediate texture to everything that you just did. So it's not just paint on the model. Come back in and you don't have to be, I mean, yes, you need to be delicate with the brush, but it doesn't really matter that much. You're just barely using the point and coming and tapping. Not all of them. That would be insane. Just the big ones. And you don't even have to be right on the spot. You just have to be close. The closer the better, but, you know. Now all of a sudden, look at that. That is chipped surface. Like you have the highlight. Remember, the highlight will be on the bottom of the chip normally because the light's coming from the top, and the bottom of the chip is what faces the top towards the light. Okay? So if you can remember that, you're off and running. This is all you have to do. Just hit the bottom of the chips this way, and you get great armor every time. Really cheap. You don't have to do anything except save that foam out of your miniature blisters. And you can use this to great effect for all sorts of models. Larger chips are fun because you can find a shape to them and highlight the whole damn thing. Stuff like this one up here, I can kind of find a way to make this a big chunk out of the armor. This one was a mistake. This was one where the sponge hit, as I was trying to hit the chest, scooched against the arm and made more of an almost brush stroke. So I'll use the highlight here to kind of break that up a bit. Make a big chunk out of the armor there. Again, just pick the ones that you think, you know, don't let an area go without, you know, a little bit of highlight on it, even down in the low spots, right, is where you're going to get a lot of contrast out of these chips, is where the armor gets much darker. Brings texture into those spots and livens them up, makes it more interesting. Again, throw caution to the wind a little bit with this and say, okay, I'm not being hyper realistic. I just want to get contrast. I want it to look cool versus reality. You know, this might really want to be bigger chips if you want, but try to think of it in terms of, okay, what is this guy seeing? You know, stuff like this is like, This is a huge freaking problem for this guy, this big chip. Like, that's a big freaking shell that had to hit his armor to make that happen. Maybe it has a scratch that comes out off of it like that. But you can hopefully see how easy this is. A little bit of a steady hand, and I won't even say you have to have a whole hell of a steady hand. I'm just posting my finger up on the model right next to where I'm going, and it helps keep me stable. But you're only poking paint on there. I mean, I'm literally going doot, doot, dee, dot, doot, right? So it doesn't get much easier than this as far as, you know, paint application, and can really give an amazing look to a model. For low investment. I mean, this looks like if you walked up and touched it, you would feel those dips in the armor, right? You'd feel the roughness to the surface because of the chips. And it can make a dull, smooth surface on a plastic model really jump and have a lot more pop. Now, I got to be careful over here because the side that I highlight changes as I go to the back of the model, and this is technically the back. So you'll see me highlighting what looks like the top of these over here, because that's technically the bottom of the chip when we look at it from the correct side. So just be wary as you go from, especially over a sphere like this. At some point in time, the direction of the lighting is going to change enough to where you're going to have to come in and kind of alter that. Now on this, I'm still going to highlight the yellow on the chip as if the paint got moved out of the way, and what's left is the yellow visible underneath the green and the black, right? So we can kind of do that here. Even though I don't really see chips over here, I can put some color on there and it'll give me the feeling of it. So two colors, black, brown, and whatever your, I will call it your mid-tone highlight. You know, we use bismuth and then pale yellow. I don't like coming in here and doing these first with pale yellow. I prefer using the bismuth, which is why I went in and did two colors of highlight on the edges, specifically because of this. You can come back on these bigger areas like what I'm doing right now on his crotch, this one. This one could come back in and have some pale yellow highlighting it too. But for the most part, you want to stick with a middle stage highlight so that you can do your shadows and the upper part of the body at the same time. And then you go back to the upper part of the body and brighten some of them up if you need to, but really only the big ones, because you're not going to double highlight these little doots of paint, really. Not easily. You can. If you're doing a competition piece, that would be the type of thing that takes it to the next level, is if you could make each one of these little specks you're highlighting have two levels of highlight to it. Oh, boy. Really just about the getting a good tip and then being able to know, and you know, we have that video called Chasing the Tip, being able to make sure that you just get the brush to be that kind of knife's edge so it forms a chisel tip that makes this really easy. And then just a light amount of pressure, right? It's like you have to know when the brush is going to hit the model. That's the biggest thing. If you don't have that hand-eye coordination built in yet to where you know that, hey, if I go a little bit closer to the model, I'm going to put paint on it, you have to know where that spot is to do this kind of fine detail work. Otherwise, you get big smudges, right? So just kind of poke at it until you see color. Just not hard. You know, Chris mentioned the other day, like, he watches me all the time, and he'll notice that I do these, like, ghost or phantom brush strokes.
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is still part of that. Every brush stroke gets me to kind of line up before I go in and touch the model, and just kind of do a practice push, if you want to call it that, to see if I can get close enough. And if I don't get paint, then I press a little harder, so on and so forth.
Paint Bob, I am paying attention. My chat expects you to do some chipping on stream sometime soon. I'm mesmerized a little bit by it. I'm watching.
It's such
Right.
a unique
I truly am
that
watching.
is super easy.
Yeah.
This is one of those that I just hope inspires people to go out and beat the crap out of a model, especially if you're doing like Death Guard.
You just got to be so light with these.
Oh yeah,
This, right now.
Yep,
you
it's
gotta be
barely
light.
touching. It's consistency of paint, right? My paint is not super runny, because if it were super runny, what would happen with each of these little touches?
Well, it would get rid of the effect. It would look like a paint swipe almost.
Well,
right?
it would flood the area, right? You'd get way too much watery paint, would kind of blister out on the model from where I touch it. I need it to be wet enough to come off the brush,
Yeah.
right? Because this is like going in and painting the pupil on a model, and you get the paint just right, the brush set just right, and then you go touch the model and the paint doesn't come off. So it has to be fluid enough to actually work as paint, but at the same time, not be so wet that it just jumps off the brush and floods the area with a big wet droplet that doesn't stick to the side of the chip I'm trying to chip, right? This paint has to stay right where I put it, or the effect isn't there. Like right now, I'm noticing the brush is too dry. I'm having to push too hard to get any paint.
Yeah.
So I'll go and I'm cleaning the bristles between each time. I'm going and rinsing my brush between each load of paint. Then again, coming over here on my thumb, and see how little paint I have anyway?
Right.
But I'm going ahead and wiping it off a couple times and just making sure I have a good tip so that I can come back over here and then poke it on.
I've also been, I was looking for that Chase the Point video, which is right here. There it is.
And this guy is pretty big, so you get the pleasure. He's kind of like painting a dreadnought or a tank. Not as hard to do as, standard Space Marine size. But you can do this on standard Space Marines pretty easy. You probably don't want to do as much as I've done here, because it starts to really complicate the visual of the model. It makes it too busy to look at. So less is more the smaller the model gets. But at this scale, I can get away with a lot of small chips, and it has good storytelling capability. Yeah, see here, I'm pressing on the model and I'm not getting paint. So before I do something frustrating and push harder and then get a big blob of paint, go rinse the model, bring it back, do it again. You're not wasting a lot of paint because you're never putting a ton of paint on the brush. A lot of times, like I said, you're just stippling little bitty points of light. Always remembering where your light source is. It's up above, so I'm doing the bottom side of the chip or the right side of the chip, depending on if the chip's elongated or something like that. You want to make sure you keep them all as consistent as possible. Otherwise, it can really look funky if some of them are highlighted on top, some of them on bottom. And it really is the altering between doing some and leaving some undone that gives it the real texture, because it will make the mind think of, look at the deep chips versus the ones that aren't deep, and that brings a lot of texture to the model. Over here I can do a couple little scratches that lead into the bottom of them. Like that. Am I staying in frame, Chris?
Oh yeah. I'm watching.
Okay, so I already messed those up.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't switch to the other side. I treated the back the same as the front.
Oh.
So you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
see
yeah.
you're
I
gonna
get
see
it.
here where I'm gonna switch over to the
Oh.
bottom and the right as opposed to the bottom and the left.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
But I'm not gonna do it too abruptly because I'll make that panel look really weird, right? Because again, like we talked about on the shoulder plate, at some point in time you've got to move to where the light is now 180 degrees off from where it was because I'm 180 degrees off on what I'm painting. I'm on the back of the model. So those will just be different. They don't look horrible, but it will be broken up because you'll see it on the left versus the right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Throw it away. Start over. Reprime
That's it. Reprime.
Burn it down. Reprime it.
See, I have to be thinking right side and bottom now. So I just tell my brain right side and bottom and start over.
Earl Teddy's saying, if you ever need to strip a miniature, what's the safest way to do it?
I don't ever do it. So
Reprime it.
I haven't done it in decades.
I would just reprime it.
I just reprime them. I'm never afraid to reprime a model.
You'd
Stripping
never-
it makes no sense unless you just have a model that you get off of eBay or something that has so much paint glommed on it that the detail is all clogged up. Then you might have to strip it. But I have typically in the past just soaked them in a bucket of high intensity simple green, like not very diluted. But they make a lot of stuff now. The LA is totally awesome. I don't remember what all the stuff you can get, but acetone, depending on it. I mean, metal models work good in that. Plastic, maybe not so much. But I've always had really good luck with cleaning anything that was grimy like that with just a very undiluted bucket of simple green. Yes, I started listening to Gaunt's Ghosts again.
What's that?
So it is quite possibly the best of the 40K books.
Oh.
It's not, I don't know if it's technically 40K. It happens sometime in around after the Eisenhorn series, so I'm not real sure. It's its own kind of thing with the what's called the Sabbath Worlds Crusade, and it's an Imperial Guard storyline following Colonel Commissar Gaunt, who is put in charge of a muster of new guard regiments from a planet called Tanith. And in mustering them, the Chaos Fleet comes in and blows the planet up. So now his group of Tanith Imperial Guard are called the First and Only because their planet's gone. There will be no more musters from Tanith. And at the beginning, they hate him because they all wanted to fight for their planet when the Raiders came, but he knew they would all die, so he warped them off, right? And to keep them alive to go fight. And so his entire regiment hates him because their planet died, killed all their families and friends, and he didn't let them fight. And so there's a neat background because, you know, they love his conviction, and they're very much Imperials and Imperial Creed, die for the Emperor, but a lot of them just don't like Gaunt. So he has to find a way to have his group like him. But one of the things I was going to mention is that it brought me back to how in the beginning, how poorly told the Space Marines were in it versus what I thought they were. Like, I remembered in my my brain kept telling me that what was going on in Gaunt's Ghost when they ran into Space Marines is like they only ever encounter one at a time, really. Maybe occasionally they find two in quick succession, but rarely do they ever run into a lot of space. They don't run into like a squad of Space Marines. They run into like Chaos Space Marines, like here's one hulking Marine in a elevator.
Oh.
The problem is, I remembered the Marines being like really brutal, and now that I'm re-listening to the books, these guys, these Imperial Guard guys, just kill them lickety-split.
Kill what?
The Space Marines.
They kill the Space Marines?
They killed 2 Iron Warriors in the first book, and one of them just took a rocket to the head. It was just a missile launcher that some dumb guy shot at him and blew his head off. And the other one, Gaunt kills in single-handed combat with a chainsword. And I'm like, okay, that breaks where in later books, because this is one of the first long-run novel series that they did as Black Library. They've only, within the last few years, put all the books out again as audiobooks because they weren't. It was so old that it only had the last 3 books of like an 18-book run were the only ones that had audiobooks because they've been out for so long from prior to them recording audiobooks. It's like they didn't know it was going to be a hit. But it's funny now when you read the other books, especially the Horus Heresy, because it wasn't out when Gaunt was out, and the way they talk about Space Marines, and in those first couple of books, you know, they just trounce these Iron Warriors, these veterans of the Long War that have been around for 10,000 years, and they just get killed unceremoniously by Gaunt and his chainsword, which I thought was kind of odd.
I picked up the Founding Ombius the other week, Ken. So I'm happy you can finish that storyline.
Yeah.
Lumberjack's not a fan of these books.
Gaunt's?
I think that's what you're talking about, right, Lumberjack?
Yeah, well, it's because you can't read, man. I told you got to learn to read. Books are better when you learn to read because these don't have all the pictures you like.
The first half of Gaunt's Ghost. Oh, okay.
Some of Abnett's best writing. The storyline is amazing.
He said that, you remember, Fuse, I tried them 3 times on Audible. Oh.
It doesn't make a difference. They're great books. I don't know. You're smoking crack. The storyline is fantastic. And it, like, when you get to Sabbat Martyr, if you're a grown man not asking for tissues, I don't know what's going on with you. Because he really does a good job of getting you to love some of these characters. And then just absolutely starts decimating the entire regiment along the way for the storyline. And it does a great job. I recommend it to everybody as a jump-on point if you want to learn more about 40K in general. Because it is a good human experience inside the Guard, obviously.
Oh, okay.
It is not very Space Marine oriented. In some of the later books, they have, like, he calls a favor and gets some Space Marines to come and support him in a thing. But it doesn't have a whole lot of Space Marines. Same way Eisenhorn doesn't really have a lot of Space Marines. And when they do show up, they're freaking scary as hell in Eisenhorn.
Jason, it's 4 o'clock. You still going?
No, I will be quitting after I do these chips.
And by that, he means we'll be here till 8. Because there's a lot of chips.
I'm almost done, dude, aren't I? Oh,
Are
no,
you?
I still got a lot to do.
Well, you know what? I just thought about that in my mind. I'm like, you could just keep going with this thing. Technically, right?
Oh, yeah.
I meant where it's kind of like, when do you decide to stop? That's the question. I guess it's just dealer's choice at that point.
Well, I mean, when you've done the chips, you have to highlight the chips. So you got to keep going until you do all the ones you've set on here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I still have the rest of the arm. It feels like I've done the whole model, but I haven't really.
Well, and then you start looking at the top. You start looking at everything. I mean, it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, we can stop there.
Because, I mean, you could keep going and just like, because did you do, yes, you did.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I've noticed you didn't do a lot of these ones towards his light. Was that on purpose? or not?
Well, because
really?
you can't, the color that I'm doing won't highlight anything underneath those bright highlights,
Right.
so you leave those alone.
Right.
You're really only highlighting things away from the big blasts.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Beckwin is the only thing on Audible to read the old-fashioned way. Yeah, that's why I went back and got all the Gaunt's Ghosts, because I just have them in paperback. So I went back and got them all in Star. I'm just listening to First and Only, right? So I think it's Ghostmaker is number 2 or something like that. I don't remember.
Nice. I gotta get me some black brown.
You got to get some black brown.
Well, I'm gonna do this on my my knights.
Yeah, 100%. Especially on big scale stuff, it works a champ, right? Because you can imagine like just all the stuff pelting around the battlefield on. I mean, I know he's not a Space Marine, but you get like
Still.
he would be Space Marine size.
Yeah.
And he might not have huge chunks out of him, but lots of little pimply, chunks is just shrapnel hitting and dinging off the armor.
Yeah.
Makes it cool. You can see how you could get out of control if you do too many that are like this. These need to be punctuation marks. They don't need to be all over the place. At least I don't think so on a model at scale, because then it's like, okay, well, holy hell, what happened? So you got to be careful on things like tanks. The smaller ones are usually better, right? They just give a texture to the model from the distance. And then when you zoom in, they give you a lot of visual clarity to look at, a lot of really cool, interesting stuff to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, the big ones definitely stand out, but that was more of the character mark, like, oh, I might have gotten shot here, or like a
big shell
bolt.
you got hit by, or some sort of rocket launcher or something like that, right? Yeah, Raviter and Eisenhorn, all Dan Abnett books, right? Gaunt's Ghost, all Dan Abnett. Eisenhorn, all Dan Abnett. Eisenhorn, Raviter, Beckwin, all Dan Abnett. Great writing from him, and both series well worth the reads.
Yeah, thank you, James. I hear that Monument
Right,
Hobbies is a
James?
great black brown.
Right, James?
I just don't have it in my arsenal. I have not done weathering like this, so I've just never been drawn to black brown because I go straight to dark umber. Plus, I buy paints for projects as I do projects, so that's how I buy my paints.
Yeah, Legion is Abnett. He wrote a lot of the Heresy, even before he took it over. He wound up taking over and guiding the end of it after the gentleman that was doing a lot of the story passed away, right? The guy that worked at Black Library, who was I don't know what you call him, executive producer of the Horus Heresy line of novels. He was the one that was tying the timeline together with all the authors. He passed away, if I remember correctly. And then Dan Abnett took over as guiding the storyline through the Siege of Terra and the End of the Death and all that, which I thought the End of the Death that he wrote was possibly one of his worst books, unfortunately, because didn't capstone the Heresy very well. He and Aaron Dembski-Bowden, I thought, did not put a good finish on that whole series, But thank you so much, as always, for tuning in, watching some paint dry. Hopefully we gave you some cool stuff again today. We got the highlights done, which brings the model to life just by giving it a little bit more value and volume and pump on all of the edges. It was really just edge highlighting, and then the radial highlights on the top of the shoulders. But it brings the shine and the dimension back onto the model. And then chipping, right? And the chipping, again, you can go overboard with the chipping to where it reduces the value and volumes that you put on the model. So again, another reason to keep it kind of under control. You don't want to go too hog wild, because you can put too much black brown on the model that unbalances the bright and dark levels. So again, why you just kind of strategically put big chunks in a couple of places and don't worry about it, because this has a lot of detail and has a lot of effect on the model anyway. You can go overboard. But yeah, had a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this. The chipping thing should be something you should try on your next model.
It's very mesmerizing, because I was like watching. I'm like, this is as you just add more to it, it just starts to give it a new dimension. Yeah. Right.
And you can also go in with black brown with your brush should you see some areas that you want to enlarge. The Guardian is a good example of that, because on the Guardian, when we got done, there were some areas where I wanted to do pop in close. On him, he's super beat up post-apocalyptic style, but there were some areas like this where I wanted to give it like a cracked paint look. Yeah. And so I would go in with a brush and just kind of make it into that star shape, or, drag a little leg of a scratch out in places and, really kind of dig in and make this big chunk, have more sharp dimension to it than the sponge will give you. The sponge will make it kind of like a cloud. Yeah. Your brush can refine it to make sharp, jagged edges if that's what you're trying to create.
like a divot.
Yeah,
like
but
a
this is
big-
all exactly the same. This is all just black, brown, and then the various, or I think this is all pale yellow that I did on a bunch of this on the orange and even on the blue. So, easy things to do and to create those types of effects on any model that you want, any surface. Works a champ. So thanks so much.
Nice. Hope you all learned something.
Blisters!
I did for sure.
Holy cow, Chris, it's the weekend.
It is.
What are you doing this weekend?
I don't know yet.
You have parties?
No.
You gonna go party?
No, I'm not gonna party.
You're not gonna party?
I'm not partying.
A margarita party at Chris's house?
What am I gonna do this weekend? No, I'm changing the stream room.
You're
is
working?
I'm gonna be standing.
Oh my god.
We're
He's
actually
changing his desk
changing
out this
some,
weekend.
Well, I'm probably gonna do that a little bit this afternoon. I'm gonna see how far I can get, but well, I'm probably gonna do some chipping on my nights.
I was gonna say we've inspired Christopher. He's gonna paint now.
No, I'm
it's so simple,
Chat,
and yet at the end can have such a good, profound effect, especially on big flat panels like Knights have.
I noticed that chat kind of stopped asking questions as I started watching. Like it's like, oh.
Well, I hope that's
think-
because of inspiration, because this
I
is
think
such a
people-
simple technique, but
I
it
think
is
people are-
such a cheat for doing really, really cool weathering.
Probably very mesmerized.
Yeah, on anything.
I'm like, oh, it's somebody was actually said it was therapeutic. I'm like, oh, it is kind of. It's like, yeah, it's very. It's little effort for high
reward.
high reward.
Low effort, high reward. Exactly. That's what I hope you take away. So thank you so much. Make
Yeah.
sure you check out those links that Chris put in chat there. Go to monumenthobbies.com and monumenthobbies.eu and buy some paint.
right.
If nothing else, buy some black brown and some pale yellow and go highlight your fisters. But thanks so much, everybody. Hope you enjoy your weekend. We do this from Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Monument Standard Time here from our HQ in Phoenix. We'd love to have you join us. Hit the follow, the subscribe, and all that good stuff. Make sure to join our Discord. Like I said, if you have if any of you can't make it to Adepticon, I usually there's a going to Adepticon channel that gets created in Discord. I don't know if it's there yet.
No, actually, you know what? I can make that right after stream.
Yeah, so we'll make a going to Adepticon channel, but if you have people that you meet in the Discord, a lot of you are not going and you'd like to get your hands on the new OneStep paints, make sure that you talk to people that are in the Discord. You might be surprised, and somebody from just down the street is going to Adepticon that you don't even know exists.
Yeah.
Make friends, hang out, talk hobby. It's a great place for inspiration and getting answers to questions that you might otherwise be afraid to ask. So go hang out over there. That's awesome. We don't know yet, Mo. They haven't given us all the details back, but we would like to.
That would be fun.
That's our plan. But we're running out of time, too, so I don't promise anything. But anyway, thanks so much. Stick around. Chris is going to find us somebody to raid, show some love in the channel we wind up in, and we will catch you back here on Monday. Adios, chat.
Bye.